Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Igniting the fire within you, exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud, shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud, shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down, down. Stand up and shout, stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up, stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Wait, we're live. So, welcome everybody to another episode of the Eric Dawson Show. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Eric,
Huh?
happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday, Vincent. Hey, Vincent, tomorrow's going to be springtime. I mean, well, not technically,
Spring
but
weather.
spring weather. 62 degrees, right?
Mm.
I'm excited.
Break out the shorts.
No, I told you my Speedo and my flip-flops.
Yeah, Eric, I'm at the stage in my life where I try not to be, go viral on, YouTube.
Well, I mean, it'll be a regular thing if I went shopping at Walmart like that, it wouldn't be big news. Kind of how people roll in Walmart. Well, some Walmarts anyway.
You might want to reconsider that wardrobe thing. You do have a lot of politicians, would just be salivating at that opportunity.
Well, listen, we can banter for a little while, but there's no bigger news that's being discussed right now than Oprah Winfrey's interview last night.
Oh, God.
like a gut punch, right, Vince? You went, oh.
Oh man, that interview was so depressing, man. I had to take a drink. I went and got a Coke Classic, brother. I went hard, man. No ice either.
Well, why was it
Coca-Cola Classic.
Why was it depressing?
You would think that, the two of them, and then, them making so much change to diversify the monarchy, and having an American who is one, but having an American woman who of color is another. And I think it was depressing because in that interview, I saw her being the next,
Diana.
Mm.
Well, so for me, and this is what I say to people. The Corporation of White Supremacy does an amazing job convincing you that things are better, things have improved, things have whatever, right? They shapeshift in such a way that they do that. And then you realize you get like hit over the head with a 2x4, and you realize like, nope, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Right? So in 2020 or 2021, whenever the conversation was had, right, about the color of the baby's skin. The color of the baby's skin. Can't be too dark. We hope he's not too dark. Can't be a prince if it's too dark.
Can't get security.
Can't get security if it's too dark.
Can't get...
Because being too dark and getting all those things rips at the very heart of the caste system. Okay. At the very heart. At the very heart. The very heart.
There is a deep underlying tone in the monarch. You have to look at the generation of prejudice. Now, I have to remind people that Queen Elizabeth is not British. She's German and speaks fluent German. She was raised in Germany. And there's a lot of racial influence that has grown into her mindset of who she is. And she is the face and brand of England. Yet England is so diverse with the influence of Africans going there and become English and other groups. But it's sad that we're talking 2021 now, and that same mindset still holds power to change and dictate and fight back and push back with society, or which, the global society is now conforming to. That is so sad.
Wait. When you say what is the global society conforming to?
Global society now is thank God for the internet, because the internet now changes a great deal of perspective. The internet makes the world smaller because people are easily accessed. You are easily to go into other countries. And now globally, the higher castes are coming to the realization that the myth that they are the majority is now, in their face. You're not. Now, Megan's child is standing at the point of saying that, people of color are now reaching higher levels of power. And their mindset.
Well, but wait a minute.
The hell with that black child being king.
But wait a minute. See, so let us be clear. No, because he's not reaching higher levels of power. They kicked him out. Yeah, they kicked him out. He's not reaching higher levels of power, right? So when we go and we look at Princess Diana, right?
No.
And we look at her, the fact that, she in so many ways was trying to tear down that construct, right? Look at what happened to her. Look at that tragedy. And so now when they say, look, you know what? We're just going to be bolder with it now. We're going to come straight out and say, you're not getting no security. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Like they just literally, they said, you don't get any. And then you know what they said to Harry? They said, yo, you like that? You go too. You don't get anything either.
No, what they said to Harry is you make a choice. And what I'm saying to you was before their...
No, that's what I said. They said, if you like that, if you want to be with her, then you go too.
Eric, slow down and let me finish.
Yep.
What I was referencing to is before their exit, now they are looking at future generations of princes from the monarchy being of color. And that is what they were fighting to change. That's why they pushed them out.
Call or go.
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
I hate to be the corrector in chief all the time, but she was not born and raised in Germany. She was born and raised in London, England. I don't want to give her any excuses, even though she's technically a child of a Dutch German. She was not born and raised in Germany. She has never been attached to the Germans. She was born and raised in England. She just erased it. No excuses, right? And another technical correction. It wasn't if he was brown skin, you can't get that. It was just a question about what if he comes out and he's darker brown, right? The decision had already been made and he wouldn't be a prince. Just because he was in the belly of a woman of color. They were just being who they are. No excuses. Who cares if she comes from the Dutch, Czechy, Germany? They were just racist. They were just promoting what they always have been. I don't understand why anyone was shocked by any of that. I wasn't shocked. When she said it, Oprah's mouth, I hung.
Well, I don't know that Oprah was necessarily shocked. So Jody, I don't know how many people were shocked at how racist they are. I think that the shock was that it was said. Right?
That it was what?
That
Sorry?
it was said, that it was spoken. Right?
Oh,
And that you had
okay.
you understand what I'm saying? So Oprah actually
That's
hearing
what Oprah said
it.
this morning.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
That's what Oprah said this morning.
Oh, see, I
She
didn't
wasn't
see it. But
shocked
yeah,
that it happens. She
that
was shocked that they spoke out.
that she spoke out, right? Like think about that. Like think about that. Like Oprah knows how big that was, how huge that was. How many people were watching it? So when the word, you know what it was like? Know how Oprah felt? She felt like Tom Cruise felt in A Few Good Men. Right? You understand what I'm saying? Well, he knew. But when the Colonel said it, it was like, yo, he didn't know what to do. He stood there for a minute. It was like, right. So that I think that was a surprise. That it wasn't that she didn't know it. It's that it was spoken. But
And the fact that her husband was looking to change it.
yeah. You know what? And you know, so here's the other thing. It was deep for me, and I had to pause the TV when Harry said I was trapped.
Yeah.
I paused. I had to pause the TV. I'm like, I gotta like wrap my head around what he's saying. Right? Then I played it, then I rewinded it and played it again. Or rewound it. Let me get my English right. Rewound it and then played it again. Because he said, I was trapped. And he said, my brother is trapped. They're all trapped.
My father is trapped. The future king.
See, so on the outside, there's one thing that we see in terms of what colonialism and the corporation white supremacy is, what racism is, and right? But on the inside, the pressures, right? And no doubt, because Oprah talked about Harry's privilege, right, which is undeniable. But to hear him say that it took Meghan being there to help him identify a way out. Like, almost cult-like, right? Almost cult-like. Like, we'll ostracize you. We'll separate, do all of these things to you. We'll demonize you. We'll do all of this stuff to you. And she gave him the courage because she said, I don't give a fuck. She said, what did she say in the interview? I know who I am. Harry didn't know who he was. Well, I mean, he did know who he was, right? He's a complete product of that. His entire identity is wrapped up in that. So when he said that he was trapped, he had no other identity. But now he's Meghan's husband. Right? And he can find comfort in that. And she said, listen, I'm going to shield you.
Which every man should.
Yeah.
Every man should be to protect and shield his wife.
It was spoken. And not just by Meghan. See, now if it was just Meghan and Harry and Meghan broke up as a result of her saying that, right? Then you go, shame on her. Right? But it wasn't about Meghan. It was about Harry. That's the bigger story. For her, you go, yo, she was, she's been in that family for how long? How many years? Whatever, right? So, divorces happen, things happen. I'm out, I'm gone. Right? But for him, and then when you look at his lineage and you look at what his mother went through, and then when he said that they took the money, right? But he said, I had enough money because my mother left me money.
He got all that his mother left.
And he said, and I felt her spirit moving in this thing. Like she knew this was going to happen. That's why she left this for me. So that I wouldn't be beholden to them like that. Yo.
All right.
So I want to know what the ordinary people over there going to do now. What they going to do now? Like you talk about dirty laundry? Yo, it's like a big stench. What they going to do?
Well, it's the same visceral reaction with Black America. We knew the FBI wanted to kill Malcolm, but it did not become public until 3 weeks ago, when the agent died at his deathbed confession. We know now. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Same thing with Harry. What are you going to do? Well, he left. Okay. But now what?
I don't know if this is a, let me see if this is a caller or, hold on. Hello?
Hi.
Okay, I'm not sure who that is. It's not for the show. Yeah.
Oh, and thanks for the correction, Jody.
So, it's crazy, man. I mean, we wake up today, like, dude. You know, so everybody knows without a shadow of a doubt, whether they want to, whether they want to make excuses for it or not. Now, that, that whole thing over there is just built on racism. Right? We know that now. Like you said, Vincent, what are we going to do about it? Anyway, God bless them. Archie. I saw somebody put in a post that they hope that Archie grows up to be blacker than black and goes to a HBCU.
The Prince of Zamunda has now arrived.
Oh, wait a minute.
To America 3.
Oh, gosh. That's well, I'm not sure if we're finished talking about I don't know if there's any more to say about that dead horse in Buckingham Palace.
Here, Eric, is my opinion. I think that this smacks with Diane because of the
Diana or our co-host
Princess
Diane. Oh,
Diana.
Diana,
yeah. Okay. She's getting press, which they don't like. She's outshining the queen, which they don't like. She's putting a new brand on the monarchy, which they don't like to change. And they are pushing back to that. Like we said earlier, now her child is in a position of being a duke of the monarchy, which they don't like. So, it just smacks with a huge swell of jealousy, the resistance of change, and the resistance of conforming to a society or conforming to a global view or world view of what the monarchy is now. And they don't like that. We should be so used to the pushback right now that, for us, it's common. For them, it's new. It's very new. And we're talking about, a country which has resources to discredit, shame, which they've done, falsify media, which they have done. And when they set those things in motion, they sit back and not defend. So why am I going to defend something that I set in motion? Yeah. That's what Black America has been dealing with since the Reconstruction. For them, it's relatively new. My prayer is that, some things do change and that they do start to, get with the times, make some adjustments, and embrace it rather than pushing it back.
Well, yeah. Don't hold your breath. That's all I gotta say. Don't hold your breath, man. You know, do not hold your breath. But Zamunda.
Did you see Coming to America?
So, firstly, I want to, before we get into the movie,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to understand the title. Coming, the number 2, America.
The first one was Coming T.O. America.
Right. Yeah. So why wouldn't it be Coming to America Part 2? Right? So what is the 2? So Coming to, I mean, like, I know the 2 is in some way supposed to represent and maybe I'm thinking too, maybe I'm going too deep on this, right? But I know that the 2 is supposed to represent the fact that it's a sequel, but just in terms of syntax, right? Coming, the number 2, America. Like, if you were to write out the number 2, TWO, Coming to America, it would be grammatically incorrect, right? So I thought, like, maybe there was some deeper meaning. Maybe maybe it meant coming twice, right? Or 2 Americas, or like I don't know. Like I thought deeper than just it being a sequel, and maybe maybe it was nothing else. Maybe it was just somebody being clever and wanting to put the number 2 there. But
yes. Yes, that's exactly it.
Do you think so too? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of that, and I saw a couple comments, some people went deep into it. So some people talked about how, what we wanted versus what they delivered was different because it's 30 years ago, and so Eddie matured, everybody matured, and so the base humor and all that other kind of stuff, right? The typical stereotypes, and that he had matured, and so there was a different level of sophistication to the movie and whatever. And that because people were looking for, the sequel to kind of match the other one, there was some level of disappointment. There were some other people, when I was looking at reviews and posts, they were talking about dogging the film because it's a black, a predominantly black cast, and it is Eddie's film, and it was shot on Tyler Perry's studio, right? And they used Rick Ross's house and all those other kinds of things, that we should be celebrating the fact that all of these people got employed, right? So I read all of that, and it caused me to watch it again, right, after the first time, because the first time I watched it, I was like, And when I watched it the second time, I was like, And I think that we should just be able to say, even though we're bottom people and bottom people are making movies, we should still be able to say that, I didn't like the movie. It wasn't a good movie for me. And so I saw a lot of shaming that if you were black or a bottom person and you had something critical to say about it, that you weren't being supportive of bottom people. And I just didn't see it that way. I think that, it's art, right? I understand it's a business too, but it's art. And, people have standards. I have standards. I have comedic standards. And when those standards are not met, I'm going to say that they're not met. And for me, it wasn't met. Now, there were parts of the movie that I thought were interesting, right? Um, but overall, it just, it didn't meet my standard. But I see you put in a thread that you loved it. What'd you love about it, Vincent? Are you there? Did we disconnect? Oh, I think we disconnected. Let me see if I can get Vincent back.
Hello, and thank you for
Oh,
calling.
did we disconnect, Vincent?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. What did you love about it?
Okay. Well, let's see. I love the nostalgic of it. Coming to America is an African American, a Black American classic movie. Its grandeur, the humor, the people involved, the everything. I mean, people still sing that song. You're a cookie. So, I mean, it is great, and it's a cult classic. What I loved about the second one is the nostalgic of it. The coming back. I love that. The story was excellent, and even the casting. Eddie Murphy and that young man. I mean, they look idyllic, and to the point where I was like, "Is that Eddie's kid?" I mean, really, facial expressions, mannerisms. I mean, he had Eddie Murphy down pat. The quality of acting was great with that. Uh, yes, Eddie Murphy cut his teeth and grew up in show business with the Second City satire, which is a little dark and yes, a lot of Americans have grown from that. Yet there are still some of us that just look at the actual classic of the humor. The movie was funny. The music was excellent. The storyline, and it was good to see all of those people that you mentioned. It was good to see his father, James Earl Jones, and I love his acting. I've always loved that. It was good to see all of the old actors come back. We look at how time has been some of their friends and not very friendly to a lot of them.
Oh, yo, dude.
Wesley Snipes. I mean, seeing him again on the big screen was, it just did me a lot of joy. I loved it because it was a simple fact of, no, this is ours. This is black. This is all black, written, produced, direct. This is our classic and just revised. But what I also loved about it is that even though they brought a touch of the old nostalgia of Coming to America, or T.O. America, Coming to number 2 America also had a new twist to it. And in there, it still kept its quality. It still kept, with its storyline and its narrative, but it was so classically and tastefully updated. And the emergence of rap, the Royal Barber, the blended family, the coming back of, in terms of the hustle game in the cities of New York for blacks, it's still the same hustle game, just younger players in it, because he's scalping tickets. The the understanding of growth and wisdom from Eddie being the prince, wanting to make change for his country, yet being locked into, the histories and traditions and having to make that decision to accept change of his monarchy or his patriarchy or his patriarchal society, and making that necessary change to grow. And that's part of what we talked about with Harry, the monarchy not changing. And, he had the courage to make that change, to the point of his daughter, who was very capable, yet understanding her role in the position, yet still making the change with commerce, with Wesley Snipes, or the neighbor kingdom, whatever he called them, the neighbor next door kingdom. So, I looked at that, and I mean, I just loved it. My wife and I, we sat there, we laughed, we cracked up, and you you have to look at movies as not as what you want them to be, because that's always a setup for failure. Look at the movie for what it is.
Mm.
It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was funny. And I think that was its design. Also, it had a social satire of change. So, I mean, to me, the movie was a hit.
Mm.
I wouldn't say it was a home run. I'd say it was a triple.
All right. So there you have it. Go and check it out. I also watched over the weekend. I
Oh,
watched. Go ahead.
I also like to say just what you said. Look, forget these critics. Forget what you see on social media and everything. Look at the movie and judge it for yourself.
Oh no. I see. I agree with that. Right. I'm going to tell you what I thought about it, but I would never tell anybody don't go watch it. Right. Go watch it and judge it for yourself. Um, but what I will say is this: don't let somebody like shame you because you're a bottom person judging another bottom person's craft, right? You have a right to do that, right? If you're doing it with the intent not to tear them down, but to offer constructive criticism in hopes that you know they'll do better, right? So
Right.
we should be able to do that, right? Uh, I saw two other. I saw two documentaries this weekend. One was Pele, which was an incredible documentary, um, and I was a huge fan, um, of Pele, only because like as a kid, I mean, you had this guy who kind of looked like me, same, he's darker than me, but similar melanin, who was just doing extraordinary things, right? And was the best. And so, if you're an athlete, you're, sports fan, you gravitate toward the best. But to watch his story and his struggle, right, um, uh, was fascinating. So, anybody you know, who's into that kind of stuff, you may want to check out Pele. It was I enjoyed it very, very much. And then the last one um, was a Biggie Smalls documentary that I saw, which and I'm not like huge on rap, right? Um, but I am huge on trying to understand culture, right? So in music, and to experience the tragedy um, that beset Biggie and Tupac, right? And to try to understand that, because a lot of lives were like ripped up as a result of that. Changed a whole lot, right? There was seismic shifts. To just be able to, get it, some additional insight was helpful for me. And it was very interesting listening to his family. Like I didn't know that that his mother was Jamaican. I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No, like I told you, I had no idea she was Jamaican. But it was interesting listening to what does he go by now? Sean Combs. Does he go by Puff Daddy, P Diddy? Uh,
Diddy.
Diddy? Just Diddy?
Just Diddy.
Okay. But to listen to him talk about how when he first heard Biggie Smalls or the Notorious B.I.G., and that was a whole story I didn't know too, that he had to change from Biggie Smalls to Notorious B.I.G. because there was a cease and desist from the original Biggie Smalls. But when he talked about his cadence, right, his his style, that they never heard anything like that. But then when you now realize that his mother kept bringing him back to his Jamaican roots, or her Jamaican roots, right, and that influence, and then the other influences, the other musical influences that he had in his life, in his mind, he was able to combine all of that and come up with something very masterful. But because of where he did come from, right, birthed out of that, he couldn't fully escape it, right? He was caught up in it, and it ultimately led to, a tragic end. But,
Yeah, yes, it did. I think Biggie was a genius. I think it was just one of those right times, being at the right place at the right time with the right skill set that propelled him. I think the game got caught up in so much of that other bull crap, leading to his tragic death, and took away from us one of our jewels, a black man now reaching into his point of greatness. Looked at it and everything that was involved with it, and look, hey, and just loved everything about what he did. The part to me about the documentary was incredible was the simple fact that here we have two murders of Tupac and Biggie, yet still nobody arrested or captured, which smacks huge with conspiracy and cover-ups, especially in the era in which it was done, and in the public. The things like that and that level of violence, even back then, we still had cameras that people can trace and track, and still nothing on that. So that is what did it for me. But in terms of the sheer artistry of rap, I mean, I'm a classical music jazz aficionado. When people would talk to me about rap, I'm like, no, you don't understand. The flow, the freestyle, the ability to, and the cadence with syncopation or self-syncopation is what made it. That was the same thing that they used to do in the 60s called scat. They just added lyrics. And so, I mean, that was a huge loss. And looking at rap today, I mean, I hate to be old about this, but I really can't get into these mumble mouth rappers right now.
So who you calling a mumble mouth rapper? Anyone in particular?
Why don't you just send me on a message? Yes.
Yeah, I tell you, I can't.
We're going there. We're gonna make a test, and we're gonna go and guys. No, come on, look, brother, get the marbles out your mouth and speak up.
Yeah, I can't listen to any of it for any considerable period of time. It doesn't. It occupies very weird space in my brain. Right, like I'm more ballad and R&B, jazz, classical kind of guy, right? But that music takes me to another place, most of it. And now there have been times that, like, I do have to say that I went through this period where, and I don't know what it was about. I don't know, maybe I was going through a midlife crisis and I was listening to I was listening to 50 Cent, man. I was listening to Nelly, you know. Now, I gotta tell you, there were some Nelly songs that, yeah, because I guess what, Nelly was listening, I was working in Manhattan, so it had to be, I had to be like 35, right? That's about right. I'm 57 now, so it was like 22 years ago. Is that about when Hot in Here came out? If that is even the title of the song, but it was playing all over the place, and I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song, man. You couldn't turn to. I mean, it was in such heavy rotation that it became nauseating. But yeah, you know, everybody in the in the studio in Manhattan was dancing to it whenever it came on, and and so it had a catchy tune and everything, so I kind of got into that. But then I guess in my my late 40s, man, or whatever, I was rocking with 50 Cent for like 3 months. Three months.
Birth of the mumble mouth rappers.
Yeah.
I wasted so much money on a 50 Cent concert.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's $75. Can you speak something I can understand?
No. He's speaking something that a lot of people can understand. But anyway, so those were that's how I spent.
Let's look at sheer artistry in rappers. You were talking about Nelly. See, when you said Nelly, it drew me back to Nas. Look at that classic One Mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the message in it, the artistry in it, the flow of it, and that is what was palatable. The difference between One Mic and getting Hot in Here is Hot in Here was a very commercially engineered song. It had a beat that made you want to move. And
Is there anything wrong with that?
It had a hook.
Is there anything wrong with that though?
There is nothing wrong with listening to music that makes you want to move. What I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different.
Yeah, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. So that's what that's how I spent my weekend, man. I was low energy, and so I just kept TV on and did that. Yo, man. So tomorrow I go to get my COVID shot. I'm getting the Moderna, and I'm pretty excited about it. Right? And I will certainly, take my photograph to commemorate the event and post it. And, and like I continue to say, everybody got to walk their own journey. But walk your journey with knowledge, right, and understanding. And my hope is that it leads you to getting vaccine. If there are any senior citizens or any seniors who want to get the vaccine, I got a call late last night that Metropolitan on Chancellor Avenue in Newark, they are giving the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That's the one you have to take once, one shot. Yeah. They're giving that on the 15th of March. So you just have to fill out, some standard paperwork, right? And then they can get it. But I also listed, because folks were trying to figure it out, and I may put it in this thread, but there's a site that you can go to that literally, because people say, oh, I'm on this list and I'm waiting for them to call me, and they haven't called me, which is what happened to me, right? I've been on this list and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. But everything from CVS to, a list of other places are offering it. And like I said, I found this website, and it says this list was updated on March 4th. but there are, you know, just like dozens of places, Rite Aid stores, CVS, ShopRite pharmacies, you know, are offering it. You know, down by you in Burlington, Vincent, right? That's not far from you, right?
Right.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right.
Willingboro, the Rite Aids in Willingboro. What is
Yes.
the Cinna, Cinna, Cinna,
Cinnaminton.
Cinnaminson, right?
Yes.
In
Yes.
Cinnaminson, they're offering it at Rite Aid as well, right? And Moorestown, Riverside Medical Group. So that's all down by you, right? So
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
so
Keep
that's
in mind, the only predominantly black area in there is Burlington and Willingboro. All the rest of the towns you mentioned are predominantly white.
okay. So then they only have, yeah, in Moorestown they have big houses there. A guy used to work for it. Built a $20 million company, man. I watched him build it, and he had a magnificent home in Moorestown. But so yeah, so I just see two locations in the black areas. I see, I see so 2, 4, 6, 12. So I see 15 total areas down there, and out of those 15, two of them, according to you. Now is Medford down by Bordentown, down by you, right? Bordentown.
Bordentown is a black town. Yes.
Okay, so Bordentown is one. So, yeah, so you guys can Camden.
Camden is predominantly black.
There we go.
Yes.
CamCare Health Corporation in Camden. You can go there.
Yes, part of President Biden's initiative to give it to community centers. Places like CamCare and a few others in Camden are getting the Johnson & Johnson, the one-shot vaccine. In fact, I know a lot of people have been reaching out to me. They're scheduled to get theirs this week as well. So we're looking forward to it. And speaking of the vaccine, they have reached now in one day, I think it was 2.3 million vaccinated.
How many?
2.3
in one day? That's fantastic. So in Essex County, so for you guys who are listening from Essex County, if you know somebody who's looking, you got Claramass Medical Center. You got CVS in Cedar Grove, CVS in West Orange. In East Orange, you got East Orange General Hospital. You got Essex County College, right? Essex County, you got Sears Livingston Mall in Essex County. You got West Caldwell Tech. You got Kmart in West Orange. Hackensack Meridian.
The governor has
in Montclair,
in South Jersey, booked places in a couple of closed malls for massive vaccination sites. So they should be starting up in the next 2 weeks.
In Newark, you got Newark Community Health Center on Broadway. You got Newark Community Health Center on Ferry Street, on William Street, on Springfield Avenue. You got the Newark Community Health Center on North Day in Orange, right? The one on Ludlow Street in Newark. You got the Newark Department of Health and Community Wellness. It's on William Street, right? But a lot of us are familiar with that one. Nutley Health Department, Chestnut Street in Nutley. You got the Rite Aid store in Irvington on Mill Road, right? So we got a lot of stuff there. So you can check all of these places out. I just want to read a couple more. In East Orange, you got Rite Aid, which is on Central Avenue, right on the corner, right? Central and Grove Street, I believe that is. You got Rite Aid on 12th Avenue. You've got St. James Health Adult Clinic on Lafayette Street, St. Barnabas Medical Center. You got ShopRite on Springfield Avenue, and okay, ShopRite in Newark, the one in Newark on Springfield Avenue, the one in South Livingston, St. Michael's in Newark. You got the Stop and Shop on Bloomfield Avenue, Stop and Shop on South Orange Avenue, University Hospital, and Vanguard Medical Group. And then there's some more, but pass those on. I'm gonna try to put the link in the thread. Hopefully we can get more people. We can get that number up beyond that 2 point whatever million you just talked about, Vincent.
Well, recent survey released Friday. In terms of confidence in taking the vaccine. Now, let's look at December versus March. The black community, the confidence in taking a vaccine was a little bit above 30%. The white community in taking a vaccine was a little bit above 60%. Now, it's changed. The black community in taking the vaccine is now almost hitting 50%. The white community in taking the vaccine is now down just a touch under 53%.
Well, so I think that they're realizing that people are not dropping dead, right? Remember we talked about this, Vincent? We said that there were going to be, same thing with masks wearing, right? That you were going to have those people who are ultra conservative, those people who are middle of the road people, and those people who are adventurous, right? So you have the first wave, second wave, third wave. And I think the same thing is happening with vaccines. So some people said, you know what, I want to wait and see, right? And in waiting and seeing, by now or close to now, everybody probably knows someone who got vaccinated and has now been able to have a personal conversation with that person who's gotten vaccinated that they now know. Right? And I'm sure that they've sat and watched them like you would watch a guinea pig or a mouse who, was a part of an experiment to see whether or not they dropped dead, whether they grew a big third eye, you know what I'm saying? Or some craziness happened to them. And then when you see that nothing happened, and then you see another person got it and nothing happened, another person, your level of confidence starts to build a little bit. Right? So I think that that's what's going on. So, hooray, hooray. And which is why I'm saying that when I take the vaccine, I'm going to put it up on social media. I think that that helps too, right? So that people go, oh, that person took it. So Dave Tucker in the thread says...
Eric, also,
yep.
I think one of the huge changes involved with the vaccination is the leadership. Blacks feel more confident in Biden.
Nah.
Yeah.
I don't think that. Nope. I don't think that it has. Nope. Because you can because the historically, blacks wasn't about not trusting Donald Trump. Is that they didn't trust medicine.
No. Historically, it was blacks not trusting Donald Trump.
Yeah, but just.
Right down the line.
Yeah.
That was crazy for you to even say, right? Something has nothing to do with the vaccination, and definitely not the fear of black folks of the vaccination. It isn't about Trump. You're the only one still stuck with Trump.
No, I'm just yes.
Moved on.
Okay, what I'm going to do is get the details of the survey, and I'll post that. Yeah.
So historically, well before Trump, right? Well before Trump's 4 years, black people didn't trust based on the level of mistreatment, right, and lies, right? Black folks didn't trust medicine, the medical industry, and getting them to do that is requiring a whole lot. So it was the black nurse who came out and got the vaccine, right? That was a part of it, right? And then other prominent black folks coming out and getting the vaccine, right? And then in the local communities, faith-based leaders who people trust getting the vaccine and urging their parishioners to get the vaccine. People like Dr. Chris Purnell, who has just been tireless at going everywhere that would have her, talking about the necessity of getting the vaccine, and then people getting the vaccine, and then telling their friends and their family members that they got the vaccine and that it didn't grow a third eye, right, as a result of it. Yeah, we talked about the side effects, right? The known side effects, so this is going to happen, and the difference between a side effect and an adverse effect, right? We talked about all of that. And so people go, oh yeah, I got tired too. Oh yeah, I was achy too. Oh yeah, I had this thing that happened to me too. Oh yep, that thing happened to me. And so then they share that information, and all of that information is leading people to have more confidence in getting it, right?
Versus the information that we used to have. We had the well-known Tuskegee Airmen experiment that made blacks afraid of medicine. We also, one of the ones they don't mention was the North Carolina sterilization project, in which they sterilized over 7,000 people, majority black.
Yeah. Yeah. And so those are all awful things, right? But we talked about how there's greater transparency, how the call to have more bottom people or black Americans a part of the medical industry is important, right? Because
trials.
Now, I'm sorry?
The more black people involved in their trials.
Yeah, more black people involved in their trials. All of those things. I think all of those things are factors. So Dave Tucker posted a thread, and Dave, I'm not sure what was said, but you said that there were some claims about the vaccine and what my thoughts are about them. If you can put what those claims are, then I can address it. What I will start off by saying is this, that people who say, anybody who says that there's this grand conspiracy through the vaccine to exterminate people, I vehemently disagree with that, right? I think it's fear-mongering, right? I even know, and I think that it's unfortunate, but even Minister Louis Farrakhan, if that's who you're talking about, is saying don't take the vaccine. I think that that's unfortunate.
The Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church is saying it, right? So it's not just about Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? There's some other people for, a host of reasons that are saying don't take the vaccine, and I think that it's unfortunate. I think I talked about it on the show, right? Wendy Williams was interviewed by Dr. Oz, and she dropped the bomb because he didn't expect her to say it, but she said she ain't taking it and she didn't advise people to take it. I think that was unfortunate. But through all of that, right, you have cooler heads prevailing, and people are taking the vaccine.
Yes.
Right? So I'm grateful for that.
I am too.
I
am too. I mean, that is the only way that we're actually going to get, in terms of looking at it now, with the vaccines, the 100-day mask mandate, the rollout, the additional using competitive pharmaceutical groups to produce more of the vaccines, and solid awareness and leadership in saying that no, this is what we need to do to be safe. This is what we need to do to crush this virus. Is starting to turn a corner. Now we're running into pushback.
Yeah. And so what I would say is this. So I'm listening to Dave Tucker, and yeah, Dave, I don't want to give too much oxygen to what was said, what he said. And I don't know if 900 people died, right? But if we say how many people have been vaccinated now? How many millions?
Yes. No, I don't know. I don't think it's 100 million.
No, I said how many millions?
Oh, God. Well, we had the massive one of 2.3 million.
Right. So whatever the millions of people that have been vaccinated, right? If you were to say 900 people died from complications, adverse effects, right? Maybe people didn't know. So I'll give an example. And I said this to you, Vincent, before the show started, right? I got to call my doctor. And somebody reminded me. Thank goodness. They said, Eric, call your doctor because you have these underlying issues, right? And you want to make sure that you're not allergic to anything that's in the vaccine, which is what Dr. Chris said in the video that I played, right? That if you're allergic to something in the vaccine, you should not take the vaccine. That's what she said. So, Dave, I'm not saying that, so you say that he falsely claimed that 900 people died. I don't know. Maybe they did. And maybe some of those people didn't take the advice of calling their doctor, their primary. Maybe they didn't have a primary. They just went and got the shot without finding out whether or not they were allergic to something in the vaccine. Right? And maybe tragically they died as a result. But the question that I want to ask is this. When you count the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people who have gotten a vaccine, and whatever number of people had adverse effects, right, as a result of being allergic to something or just something they didn't anticipate happening, right? That's what an adverse effect is. And tragically died as a result. What is that percentage? What is that percentage?
Infinitesimal.
That's right. It's tiny. So when you speak the number, right, whether it's 900 or whatever it is, when you speak that number and you don't speak it in context, it is to be misleading and to aid in fear-mongering. Right?
Come on, bro. Listen. It's a less number of people who have died from the vaccines than people who have died from the virus.
Right. So when you say, so if we put that statement, and again, I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination it was 900 people. I don't know. I don't know where that information came from, where he got it from. I haven't researched to see how many people, died as a result, as a direct result of something in the vaccine, right, that they might have been allergic to or whatever.
Well, even if the 900 numbers are true, as of March 1st, there were 76 million
that have been vaccinated. So,
yes.
right. So
and
we say 76 million.
43 million that had the second shot.
All right. So 76 million vaccinated. We say over 530,000 people died, right? And in an attempt to put an end to the pandemic, right, 900 people lost their lives. Right? So if we put it in perspective.
Oh, the CDC has of the 76 million, the deaths from people dying, and they didn't investigate if the death was caused because of the vaccine. Just the deaths of people who died after taking it. The number is 0.0018%.
Right. So if we can do the math backwards and find out what 00 point the CDC is talking about, right? So, but we got to look at stuff like this too, right? So because we don't know, we don't know. I know, for instance, Hank Aaron, right? May he rest in power. What was it, a week or so after he had gotten the vaccine, right? He passed away. And there were a lot of people who were attributing his death to the vaccine. And, when I saw it, I'm saying to myself, come on now. So that's kind of like saying, in some respects, if I rode a bus today and then died later, you could say that I died because I rode the bus and inhaled some of the exhaust from the bus. Right? Like you have some environmentalists who might want to stretch that like that, right? So if somebody happened to be driving a car and they die while driving a car, should we not drive cars anymore? So we gotta really dig deeper into it to understand it. But again, 76 million people got the first vaccine, right? According to whatever information Vincent's looking at, and I'm not looking at it, but Vincent said 46 or 40-some million people got 43 million, right? Got the second vaccine, second shot. Last night, was the day before yesterday, I saw and it said 524,000 people perished right? So if we're talking 900, I'm saying, you know, to end this thing, we're not going to end it with no people dying, right? So for anybody who's setting that bar, who's saying that we want to do this thing, we want to go through the trials, we want to go through the vaccine, we want to go through all of this, and we want to have 0 deaths, I mean, you know, that's just not going to happen, right? So like I said, so my answer to your question is it's unfortunate that with the tragedy that we've been experiencing, it's been over a year. Been over a year. And you know what? No, it's also interesting. I saw a guy yesterday. I can mention his name because he took the vaccine. Gerald Murphy, who's a friend of mine. He videotaped himself taking the vaccine and then encouraging people to take it. But I remember this time last year, I was connected to some people and we were trying to find PPE, right? Like, it's crazy. It was a year ago. We were trying to find PPE. And I remember Gerald and I had a meeting in South Plainfield, and Gerald came to pick me up, and Amina was saying to me, Baba, put your mask on, right? And that's when I had that painter's mask that, yeah, I still got it with me right here. I had this mask, right? And I got in the car with this mask because we didn't know what the heck it was, right? Everybody was just put a mask on. So I went for the heavy duty joint. And I put the mask on and I go outside, get in the car, and Gerald laughs at me. He says, what are you doing? I said, man, I shouldn't be in this car. You, and he was with his wife, said, you guys don't have your mask on. I should have my mask on. And Gerald said, oh, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. I saw him video put on Facebook Live getting the shot. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like that transformation for me is monumental. Because I look and go, here was a person who was like, oh, this is bullshit. This isn't real. This is whatever. And was being attacked with information from both sides. Right? I say misinformation and information. And had to try to decipher. And he went and got the vaccine. So my hope is that that more people do it. And again, like I was saying to you before, Vincent, for a guy like Gerald, think about all the people who were in Gerald's camp, who were on his side going, yeah, Gerald, I'm with you, man. It's just a hoax. It's this, that, and the other. And now how many people did he pull over when he came over? Because they said, yo, Gerald going to get a vaccine. Gerald was saying X, Y, and Z. So if he's going to get a vaccine, let me take a second look at this thing. So I think the more people get vaccinated, the more they share their stories, the more encouraged or the more courage other people have to go and get the vaccine. But the same thing happened with the masks. Remember that? Remember? People didn't want to wear masks. They thought like, oh, I ain't wear no mask. I ain't put no mask on. I ain't put no mask on. And you see some of the toughest dudes now, like, yo, man, put your mask on, man. Right? So, same thing, right? You just, you know, so it is a herd mentality. I think Donald Trump said that, but he meant to say herd immunity. But there is such thing as a herd. That was funny, wasn't it? But there is such thing as a herd mentality, right? Where, you know, like the herd, like, you know, you'll see some wildebeest kind of laying around, right, grazing. They see some wildebeest running, and they may look up, and they only see a couple running, so they go back down and start grazing some more, and they see a few more running, and then their interest is piqued a little more. Then when they see more running, they go, I better just start running. I'll figure out why later. And it is the one that doesn't run that winds up getting devoured by the lion, right? So there is something called herd mentality, and I think that the herd mentality kicked in, and people started putting masks on and challenging other people to put masks on. So anyway, that is that.
Thank God it kicked in, because I was tired of people. I have 8 family members that have contracted the virus, and you know, and when I talk to them, you know, about what were you freaking thinking? First thing that came out of their mouth, well, the president said it was going away, it was safe. People were saying that it was fake, and so yes, I'm glad they started doing that.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna listen. Listen, this is what I'm gonna say. Anybody who's solely listening to the president, I don't care who the president is a fool. Anybody who's solely listening to the president is a fool.
Eric, you're looking at a situation where there are 14% of people who use intelligence. There are, and then there is a even lower number of people who have no intelligence. In between the middle, they believe that the president has more information than they do, and they trust his word.
Oh, I'm not suggesting they don't. I'm simply saying that they are a fool to do that, right? Because if you don't understand that in the end, right? Think about if we just look through our history at the number of lies that any number of presidents have told about any number of things. Because in the end, what is their goal, right? And so they look at collateral damage, right? They always do, and they measure it. Right. And so to isolate any one instance and say, oh, this is the one time that they're not going to lie, I think it's foolish. Right. So I'm not saying don't listen to them. But again, I'm going to do what Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. So if you say, you know what, I believe that the president of the United States holding the highest office should have X, Y, and Z, benefit of the doubt and whatever. OK, fine. I'm saying, but verify it because of history. Because of history, right? None of them can be trusted. Yo, $1.9 trillion.
Yes.
Did you say amen?
Yes, I did.
Jody, did you say amen too?
No, I did. I said yeah.
$1.9 trillion. So let me ask you this question. Did you see the stuff that's in there?
Yeah.
So are you saying amen to all of that stuff that's in there?
Oh, I didn't see.
No, I'm asking Vincent. I mean, I'm not suggesting that.
No, I didn't see what's in the revision.
Oh.
Which is going before the House today.
And it's going to pass.
Of course.
You know, and I'll say this too. If it were a Republican House and Senate doing this, Democrats would be screaming from the rooftops. The press would be screaming from the rooftops. And they're not now.
But it would, if it was, and we already went through 2 stimulus packages that the Republicans dominated because of what it lacked. The second stimulus check came out to be $400. Really? Really? $400.
$600.
I'm sorry, $600. Yeah, there you go. $600. Really? Yet nobody did any screaming. They talked about Nancy Pelosi got up there on her platform and said that this was irresponsible. It's not enough. It's not this. It's not that. It doesn't have this in it. It doesn't have that in it. Okay? So listen, did he address in this new bill everything that Americans are going to need to recover, to recuperate, or get some relief? No, he didn't. He did a hell of a lot more than the one he preceded.
No. I'm not.
First of all, we did hoop and holler. We hooped and hollered about both bills. We've been hooping and hollering since the beginning. The difference is, right, is that this Democratic Party said that they were different. They put themselves so different than the Republican Party. They were going to build up the little people, right? So when you doing something for somebody in another country, in my $1.9 trillion bill, that you could have done more for the people in this country, then no. If you're wasting money, if a bill should be for what we're going through right now in this country, black and brown people in large part, right, through COVID, right, and you spending money over there, no. You're not 100% focused on the people. You sliding things in. The portion of education doesn't get our children back to school tomorrow. The money that they put in for education is to be for library. What? That doesn't get my baby back to school any faster. It doesn't get any child back to school. Putting money in for a budget of next year of what you want to do that has nothing to do in education with making it safe for children to get back to school in neighborhoods, right? If you wanted to do something right now today, there are minimum 3 million children who haven't gone to school this year. That's big money. I don't care about a library next year, but predominantly black and brown children, at the very least, and this is according to that government, 3 million children have not gotten on a laptop this year. They're just not in school this year. For whatever reason, that's where the money should have gone.
Well,
library next year that could be built in some school. That doesn't help COVID this year. That doesn't help our children get back to school in brown and black communities today. That wasn't about us, right? That was a waste of my money. If those 3 million children come Friday, if they still don't have a laptop and they're still not in school and no one's still not trying to get them to a building and putting them in jeopardy, you didn't do much or nothing to me.
Okay. Well, let's look at it. Under Trump, the COVID bill basically.
What are you talking about Trump for? And that's
Well,
about
Jody, again.
people about the Trump.
Jody, again, we're looking at a comparison.
Why?
And,
But why are we comparing?
well, okay. Well, all right. Then if you would please let me talk, then you would know.
Okay.
Now, under Trump and his stimulus package, it basically gave money to people. It gave money to businesses, large corporations, in which this stimulus package gives money to people, $1,400. It also hold on, because I actually looked it up in some of the fine points of this bill. It also increases the unemployment, which will end in next week. It also gives. Oh, here we go. One of my favorite points. That unemployment, the housing mandate. It also gives child tax credits, which would be more generous among benefits, which basically affects a lot of, as Eric says, bottom caste. It also gives money that would fight the pandemic to help states, which the other bill didn't have, local governments and schools, which addresses the issue that you talked about in terms of getting laptops to children. Now, it also looks at multi-employee pensions and temporary increase in subsidies. And the only thing that this bill does not have that everybody was really upset about was they believed he did not fight hard enough to raise the minimum wage. But that can be a total another fight. It also gives the state money for distribution of the vaccines in terms of what Trump just dropped it in front of the states and go, okay, but no money and resource.
Okay, so one, right? If you are standing on that the Republican Party is so horrible, right, and that the Democratic Party was our saviors when they came in, right? To even compare and contrast is say what they did is better as opposed to they are better is asinine on its face. But, right? And let me show you some things they put in the bill that did happen. $1.5 million earmarked for the Seaway International Bridge, which connects New York to Canada. Which still was from New York, right? $50 million for family planning going to nonprofit Planned Parenthood of public entities, including services for adolescents. $852 million for AmeriCorps, VISA, and National Senior Service Corps, the Corporation for National Community Service, civic volunteer agencies. This includes $9 million for the AmeriCorps Inspector General to conduct oversight and audit of largest AmeriCorps receipts. I think that has to do.
Wait a minute. There was some other, Jody. If you could look up, there was some astronomical number for like arts.
I ain't finished. $200 million in the bill to the Institute of Museums and Libraries.
There we go. There we go.
It's so small that it doesn't even employ an inspector general. $270 billion funds for the National Endowment of Arts and the Humanities. In 2007, they had a study that showed 80% of all nonprofit grant makers sold to well-heeled organizations with over $1 billion in assets. Guess what? They didn't do any Donald Trump. They did the same thing Donald Trump. Well, they finished $350 billion to bail out the 50 states and the District of Columbia. The allocation uses unemployment rate, but doesn't really get it back to the people. He can go on and on. This is what they do.
Right.
This is the problem that I have. The difference is this is just government.
Right.
I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. They are always going.
Always scheming. And here's the other thing, right? And let us be honest. One of this stimulus is a bailout for all of the states, Democrat states in particular, who misappropriated money.
Absolutely.
Right? So we got to have this honest conversation, right? So we're not being fiscally responsible here. So I don't look, my belief is that yes, there are businesses and there are individuals who are in pain. And I've always said that the government should be a bridge, right, to help people get to the other side. I don't have an issue with that, right? I'm still very consistent in that. What I am saying, though, is this, that so they throw you a bone. Again, it reminds me of that Bugs Bunny cartoon. I don't know if you've seen it, where Bugs was counting out money, and he goes, 1 for you, 1 for me, 2 for you, 1, 2 for me, 3 for you, 1, 2, 3 for me, 4 for you, 1, 2, 3, 4 for me, right? And so you look and you're happy you got 4, but you're not really counting how much he's got. And I'm going, yo, yeah, they threw this $1,400. Yep, they threw this other thing. But we got to still hold them accountable. We can't be so joyous that we got a little something and don't realize that they're still fleecing us. And for us not to be honest about that. Yep.
Eric.
Yeah.
The first 2 stimulus packages, they got 10, we got 1.
Fine, I got it. About the fleecing here. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm going, yeah, they fleeced and we're getting fleeced again. But you cherry picked the data. You cherry picked the data to talk about the things that were exciting to you as opposed to talking about all of the things.
No.
Because you're making a comparison. And you're going, you know what? They reamed you so badly that any reaming you get now, you should be okay with. And that's not true.
Well, no. See, first and foremost, let's go back to the first stimulus package, in which I called it government cheese, which means that we were being fleeced. And I did say that, that $1 trillion that they spent on the first package comes out of the small taxpayer's butt.
Got it.
And so, wait, please. Now, what I'm saying to you is that the first 2 packages, They got 10, we got 2. This package, we got 7, they got 3.
What? What?
Now,
you think that we got more than they got?
But
wait a minute. Are you serious? You ain't. You just said that we got more than they got.
Yes.
No, Vincent, come on. Come on.
Listen, that's right, Eric.
Vincent.
What he's saying.
Vincent.
But Eric, let me inject one more. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you talking, Jody. Go ahead.
What he's saying is just that narrative, right? He didn't say anything to you about the bill. He's just comparing two parties. See, he parties from my people are down here suffering, right? I just told you that 3 million black and brown children, 3 million, that is their minimum. Haven't even been to school this year. They haven't had any instruction at all. And they know the reason, right? They know it's because in rural neighborhoods, there's no Wi-Fi that accommodates, right? And the freaking government makes it, right? Every child in this country, it is their constitutional right to be educated, right? But because that was in black and brown neighborhoods, because those are Hispanic and black children, they just didn't go to school this year. And you gave $852 million to the arts. Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm sorry, I missed all of that. I'm sorry, I missed all of that because you're breaking up.
Right. So what she essentially said is she talked about all of the suffering that's going on with black and Hispanics, right? Education, lack of, all of these other issues, but you find this money to give to the arts.
Okay, well, let's look at, well, if I could address it without her.
Right? They're getting substandard. These are black and brown children that are being allegedly educated under COVID, right? They've already said are 5 years behind, right? Remember, it was already a great educational system to begin with in black and brown neighborhoods. Right? That was already. And then you find out that there's a portion of those children who aren't even receiving the substandard. They're receiving nothing at all, right? And you didn't allow an amount of money that I'm going to save the poor people of this country. You didn't allow an amount of money to fix that. Could you imagine that the President of the United States knows that due to poverty and dollars, 3 million children just weren't able to go to school during COVID. And just home, they've been home now for over a year, right? Not being engaged. And you do a $1.9 trillion bill, and you didn't allot a little bit of money to get them there. It's going to build a bridge between New York and Canada. And your argument, Vincent, is, well, Trump did. Are you kidding me? This is the Democratic Party that hurried out black and brown people, and we put them in office, right? And he's worried about a bridge, and we're supposed to be excited with this stuff, right? And you're shooting it like, you know how fast this is for hands-off? It's gone. And that's just on a fun thing. Not even a bill, right? That's $1,400 a seen the way in which anyone lives in this country. It is not going to make positive. But look, they told us that this is that is the first bill in the country's history that is making a mark against poverty. Are you kidding me?
Okay, Eric, could you translate and then give me a chance to respond because I can't hear what she's saying.
Right. So, what?
You heard me.
Yeah. So I mean, so Jody's talking about priorities, saying that the president realizes what COVID has done to the black and brown community in terms of black and brown children being behind and how much further behind they are, and that wasn't a priority in him addressing it. But he's focused on a bridge and he's focused on the arts. But he did not pay specific attention to addressing an issue that is going to, and arguably, leave black and brown people well behind, right, in terms of education. He didn't specifically address that in this allocation of money.
Of course it did not. And okay, let's keep this 100. Black and brown children have been behind the curve in terms of education, far beyond this freaking pandemic. Now, let's look at the simple fact that that is a half truth and another throwing in another point of the conversation, which we were never on. But since we're there, let's look at this. Part of that bill, and one of the big reasons he gave it to state, was the allocations of giving vaccinations to the teachers to get the black and brown children back in school. The other part that you look at is the vaccination. And whoa, I let you talk even though I couldn't hear you. So please, you heard. So please.
Go ahead, Vincent.
The other part that you look at is this. In terms of what you said about the arts is right along with the restaurants in terms of actually dying, because people are not going to plays, people aren't doing this and that and the other thing. But that's not the whole part. In terms of the art, it's about giving them income and giving them some relief too. So if you're going to tell the truth, tell the whole truth. Stop this cherry picking,
right? I'm gonna keep drilling it, and you hear me. Don't. Even if those people, other people believe, I know you hear exactly what I'm saying. And you just talked about the art and being. What does that matter to the kids that is being educated? Does that actually have precedent over the kids that have been being educated? The kids are sitting home for an entire year, doing nothing, right? Doing nothing, not receiving any of their constitutional rights to an equal and quality education. Who puts art through there? When our children can't read and write, our seniors that are graduating from high school now, that are being rejected from massive amount of colleges because they really don't have to serve us up this round because there's so many things, right? What do they care about a freaking museum? Is that that's going to be your go-to? And is your go-to going to be that prior to COVID, that was being done, right? The kids weren't being educated. Because it was you, right? Was that this is going to bring back the souls of America. So anything that was great, like education, is bad. Back the soul of America. What happened to fixing all of this, right? All your hopes and wishes to go about earlier in the year. What happened to that? You mean to tell me to give accusatory behavior and this is good enough? And that it's okay, the argument really was, well, it wasn't, education wasn't that good before COVID. Is that really what this standing on, Mr. Buckman?
Eric, Jody, you can hear me, but again, I can't hear you. One is because I'm not working. So, could you please do me one specific thing? Keep your point to one bullet point, and then Eric can translate it and I can adjust it. It is so exhausting to keep up with all of these right terms that you want to do to get away from the.
Here's everything I'm saying. He hears every word I say. That's particular.
See, when you
that's a new game going on. Like you don't understand things. Like everyone else is just throwing things up against the wall. You're very disingenuous, kind of a liar, play games with words. Because you hear me. You hear.
Again.
To belabor the point, makes no sense, right? If you believe, Vincent, that the president's prioritization was in line with the or proportionate with the damage that has that we see in the wake of COVID-19, then that's what you believe, right? So you look at the black and brown communities, you look at the
Right.
education disparities, you look at all of the things, you look at where he decided to allocate money. So you see it, right? It's like a Cat 5 like touches down and just decimates a town, and then they decide on how they're going to allocate money in rebuilding it, right? So that's what's happened, right? So COVID-19 has decimated, right? We see it. And now you're saying that you believe that the manner in which the president has prioritized resources, right, is appropriate. Then, I can't, I disagree with that. I think that that he could have and should have fought harder. I think that when Ayanna Pressley says no black faces without black voices, those black faces didn't stand up and fight hard enough, right? But we see that other people fight hard enough, right? Whether we're talking about the gay community, we're talking about white women, we talk about white men, we talk about business community, we talk about all these other people. They fight harder, right? And those people who are in those political seats, they go and advocate for those groups, right?
That's right.
We were left not being advocated for. And the go-to is, hey, listen, when you get ready to complain, don't complain. Look at what Trump did. See? Don't focus on what Biden.
Let me please address that. First and foremost, the part of the first issue in talking about the disparities and of all the black and brown children who aren't doing anything in learning. See, first, that is not one of the most significant issues in terms of prioritizing that we should take to the president. That's one of the most significant issues in terms of prioritizing we should take to the parents, because it should be a parent responsibility to see what their children are doing in terms of education. But to go to your second point, Eric, just like in education, the biggest thing and biggest reason that black people lack in terms of government support is the same thing. They do not get involved. They do not pay attention. They do not do anything except for complain. They do not go to meetings.
So wait a minute, Vincent. See, you're off the.
Let me finish. Let me finish, because I'm still under 2 minutes.
But Vincent, well, I don't have a 2-minute rule. But we don't have a 2-minute rule. But what I'm saying is, do you remember when my cousin Mark called? But Vincent, Vincent, do you remember when my cousin? And I'll let you finish, but I just want you to have this as part of your context, right? Do you remember when my cousin Mark called and was saying that he was driving around to households because they didn't have internet access and they were giving them hotspots, and he was raising money through his organization for hotspots? See, so you're making an assumption. You're jumping to the second floor, right, without looking at the foundation. I'm going, let's pay attention to the foundation and all those homes that didn't have and still don't have internet. Let's talk about that as you're talking about this.
Here is my answer to that.
There we go.
I get up every morning and do my exercise, and then I treat myself to Dunkin' Donuts, in which I see people of color who do not have hotspots in Dunkin' Donuts early in the morning with their children. Because Dunkin' Donuts has free Wi-Fi. So listen, it's not what you don't. It's not what you have. It's what you use in terms of creativity.
Right. And Vincent, and like you said, right? So there are some black folks doing that, right? There are some black folks who have the means to get there, but then there's some who don't. I'm talking about the ones who don't. See, I'm talking about the ones who don't have a boat. Right? So you talk about this whole rising tide, lift up. I'm talking about those. See, so yes, those who did. You said you saw them. I'm talking about the ones who don't have. What about them?
They don't have, but they found a place where they could get it.
He played the green game, right? The little racist white woman. He played her game. You know why black people are doing so bad? Because they play games and they live in poverty. He just did it, and he keeps doing this. He's been doing this for a while now. He just did the blame the victim game. It doesn't even matter, right? It doesn't matter if Joe Biden says the 3 million children that have not been to school this year
No, it's not a constitutional right that they receive the adequate material. It's a constitutional right that they do go to school. In terms of material and content, it is provided, mandated, and enforced by the state. And even in and even in the state, in terms of education, it is therefore the final decision is by the school board superintendent, which therefore, which is therefore managed by the school board. Now, so again, we can't, right? No. We cannot sit up here and kitchen sink the trouble that we had in the past with the level of relief. And by the way, Eric, if you remember, I was also part of a group down here that worked on getting Wi-Fi to a lot of homes, to a lot of people who didn't have it. And it's not the simple fact that they didn't have it, because there are a lot of people who didn't have it. Some people sat in their behind and complained about it, and other people got on their behind, got their kids up in the morning, and took them to Dunkin' Donuts.
So wait a minute. So let me ask you a question. Wait, Jody, 1 second. Jody, 1 second. So Vincent, why would you work to get them Wi-Fi? Why would you do that? Why would you work to get them Wi-Fi?
Well, I worked to get them Wi-Fi because I saw a need.
There we go. Wait.
No. Let me finish.
No, you answered the question.
No, Eric, please let me finish. I saw the need.
Okay.
Just like you saw the need when there weren't masks to make that happen.
Right. Okay. So if you saw the need, right? So you didn't say to those families that were in need, get your ass up and go to Dunkin' Donuts, right? You went and tried to find resources to help them, right? But now when we're saying, well, wait a minute, does Biden see that need? He's got access to greater resources, but you're saying, no, he shouldn't turn those resources there. Those people should get. So I'm saying, so wait a minute. You did the thing that I'm saying that Biden. Let me finish. Wait a minute, Vincent. Vincent, you can't. No, but Vincent, you can't ask me not to interrupt you and then you spend your time interrupting me. Vincent, no. Vincent, you can't interrupt. You can't ask to not be interrupted and then turn around and interrupt. You can't do that, right? So what I'm saying to you is this. There's a need. There's a need. And we're saying, why didn't the president address the need? And you're saying your thing was, well, it's really not a need. Those people should get off their asses, right? Because they're lazy or whatever, and they should go find something. But you identified the need. And when you identified the need, you didn't tell those people when you went to their houses and gave them the Wi-Fi, you didn't say, hey, I have Wi-Fi.
What I said was this. There was a need. I went and did what I could to help with that need. Okay, other people did what they could and addressed the need by going to Dunkin' Donuts, and then other people sat on their behinds. Now, and to do that, you misquoted me or misdirect my statement.
Let me ask you a question. Well, I got another question for clarity.
Eric, let me finish.
Go ahead.
My statement was not no, Joe Biden saw the need and did not address it. No, Joe Biden saw the need and put it in this package.
Right.
And he put it down to the state.
Right.
Handle that.
So let me ask you another question, Vincent. When you went to the house to give the Wi-Fi, how did you discern which parents didn't sit on their asses? How'd you discern that? When you got there, wait a minute. I want to make sure you understand fully what my question is, right? So because you have this ability to discern, because you said they should get up off their asses, so you can tell which ones do and don't. So the houses that you went to, what questionnaire did you give them in order to discern that those parents were not the lazy ones, right, and couldn't get it? And then did you bypass the other ones that you determined to be lazy and not getting off their asses?
Okay, now first, that is a full-loaded question that takes us down another rabbit hole. But if you want to know how did I handle distribution, I went to the school districts in which I was supporting, and I talked to the principals who talked to the teachers who handled the distribution of the students that did not have it.
Right. That's it. And that's all I think that we're saying, right? So going to the school, saying what do you need, and not judging, and then letting the school determine where the distribution goes and then distributing it, right? And not talking about, who didn't get up off their ass, who could have gone to Dunkin' Donuts, who didn't go to Dunkin' Donuts. That's not for us to do, right? And I don't think it's for the government to do. The government is a bridge. A bridge. And so for you to now suggest that in some way they should be able to, with a scalpel, look and see and say, well, that parent could have gotten off their ass, so we're going to not put this amount of money in, and we're not going to focus on this. We're going to reprioritize because that parent should have been able to do that. I think that what Jody is saying, let me finish. Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish.
That's not what I said.
Allow me to finish.
None of that is what came out of my mouth.
Right. I think that what Jody is saying is that if you look at the whole of the problem, like I said, the Cat 5 touched down, and in the wake of that disaster, we see ruin. How do we address it? How do we repair it? And Jody, I think that what Jody, and she's on the phone so she can speak for herself, but what I interpreted was you don't repair it by taking this money and putting it over here in the arts, or taking that money and putting it over here to build a bridge. You take the money and you put it where the need is based on you seeing the catastrophic damage done.
Okay, now I agree with that. But then we also have to look at another part of, or adding to that scenario. The government, in terms of aid, is now traditionally should look at that principle. What happens is this, and this has been historic for the United States, in terms of aid given to people in the event of catastrophes, have been, for a lot of people, a drop in a bucket. For a lot of people, a lot more than what they had. And for a lot of people, never enough.
Yeah.
So it depends on the individual. And see, and that's the biggest point. It is the individual and their needs varies. And we cannot, and anybody in government cannot address every want or...
oh, no, and I agree with that, Vincent.
What they do, and what is often done is the politics of it and being pragmatic in terms of the distribution, right, and the amount going.
I don't disagree with any of that. And so here's the point. I agree with everything you just said, which is why we need advocates, right? Because when they're making those determinations about who gets what and prioritizing, if you have black faces with no black voices, right, then we don't get prioritized. Right? That is it. Right? So yes, he sat there and there was something, what they say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at who the lobbyists are and you look at all of the people who are in his ear, all of the people who have leverage, right? All of those people got him to do what he did. And I'm saying, so hell, why a black person? So I'm back to listening to what Donald Trump said, where he said, hey, what y'all got to lose? Y'all ain't getting shit with them. Right?
Well, that was a lie, because we ain't get crap with him either.
Okay, but we're not getting anything now, too. So I'm going...
We are getting it. But the thing is, Eric, is what you're considering what we got. We got zero from Trump, yet we are getting something from Biden that you call zero. That goes into the actual interpretation of the individual and their needs.
Okay. All right. Listen, we're at the tail end, but I do want to say something that my good friend Dave Tucker had posted in here, which I'm considering to be a possibility. This is Dave Tucker's theory about Donald Trump. He says Donald Trump will run for Congress in 2022.
I think Donald Trump will get primaried the first 3 months.
Oh, listen, I don't disagree, but Donald Trump will have more money than anybody who's primarying him, right? And then he says that Donald Trump will win, right? And now, because think about where Donald Trump's going to run for Congress. If he ran.
Florida.
There we go.
Well,
Come on.
So, but then we have to look at another thing. I don't think Donald Trump will be eligible because by the time 2020 gets, he may be wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Well, provided that that doesn't happen, here's what Dave Tucker finishes saying. He says he will then start an impeachment proceeding against Biden and Harris, since he would be the next. That after he won the Congress, that he would be voted in as Speaker of the House. That he would have enough political clout to be Speaker of the House, and then that he would immediately start proceedings to impeach both Biden and Harris, since he would be the next in line for the presidency. That'd be interesting to watch. I appreciate that that theory, Dave. We will certainly. I don't know where on the radar I'll have that.
We'll definitely be looking out for that theory to come.
We'll be looking out for that theory too. But listen, guys, thank you all for tuning in. This is a great show. Tomorrow's going to be 62 degrees. Remember that. And dress appropriately.
Yeah, we should be close to like 70 by the end of the week.
Hey, man, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
I'm telling you, man, I'm going to put the top down and just roll around, blow cigar smoke in the air.
All right. Hey, man, I hope it's not one of those stinky cigars, Vincent.
No, I get the good ones.
Okay. Because, man, I mean, some people smoke them. You know which ones I'm talking about.
Oh, those 50-cent cigars?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. Horrible. No. Anyway, Jody, thank you for calling in. Vincent, thank you as always. Dave, appreciate your input. I'll look at some of the other stuff that you posted in here. Enjoy the day, and we'll be back tomorrow.
No, and I mean that.
Oh, I'm sure you do.